How's everybody doing today? Give me one in the chat if you can hear me. You're welcome. Give me one in the chat if y'all can hear me in the chat. And let's get started. Hello. Thanks, B-Dub. Oh, there's the one. I appreciate everybody joining me. Shout out to Caesar. There's a lot of people I know in there. Shout out to Study GRC. Let me get my slideshow going. I want to thank the doctor. I think we both will struggle streaming to get started today. So most people know me. Let me get my slides going so we can get in and out in an hour. It's a little different in the background than I normally have. So let's see if I'm struggle streaming or if I'm showing it correctly. So you see it right there. Overview introduction to NIST uh, 800-53. Most people know I've been doing NIST 853 for about 20 years. So you know how we do. If you got any questions, tech or cybersecurity, put them in the box. Appreciate once again, Dr. Finesse, the pain, Cam got it. Can't hear you. I appreciate Steve, Michael, for helping me join the Cyber Academy, getting started. So once again, let's get going. And you know how we do it. Got any questions? Put them in there. We got a small set of slides just to get us going. Like I said, I'm struggle streaming a little bit on one screen. So let's go. So you see my education right there. My government name is John Hightower. Everybody calls me PBO, a.k.a. Professor Black Ops. So once again, this is my educational background. I have a bachelor's in computer science. I have an MBA. I have a Security Plus certification, a plethora of AWS certifications, and I'm studying for my CISSP at an older age. Shout out to B-Dub and Study GRC family. We got actually a study group there to kind of help me get across the line. So once again, that's my background. A little short story, like Dr. Auger. I started off as a programmer. I programmed for 10 years. I did everything from Java, little PHP, Oracle forms. Oracle's kind of how I started making money in the industry. I got my bachelor's degree in computer science in 1990. So my degrees is older than a lot of you people in the audience. So once again, if y'all got any questions, shout out to Space Tacos. Definitely join our Discord. I always struggle stream. I always struggle stream. But like, once again, that's my background. So that's kind of what I bring to the Simply Cyber, Study GRC, and definitely my YouTube background. So once again, Bachelor's in Computer Science, MBA, Security Plus, AWS, and trying to finally get my CISP. Different jobs I have. My claim to fame is I was a programmer, web admin, DBA. I worked for DOD for 10 years and also the IRS. Right below that, I work for the Department of Revenue that reports to the IRS. I did that for 10 years. So I got 20 years as a consultant in two major large organizations. So that's kind of how I learned my trade. I actually started doing cybersecurity in DOD. I was a consultant doing Oracle forms in Java, and the DOD wanted to actually get serious about security. So they actually bought a security expert, and we actually started on this 800-53 Revision 4 and Stigs, which are hardening implementation guidelines for our infrastructure. I've been in IT for 30 plus years. I've been in cybersecurity for 15 plus years. I've been an adjunct professor doing information security for a large community college for 10 years. I just actually stopped doing that probably 3 or 4 years ago. And I kind of wanted to bring those talents to YouTube and just start helping people get in the industry. Long story short, that's how I met Chris and Simply Cyber's Discord, and they have their own Discord. So once again, you see me out in those Discord streets helping people. Not just a DBA or Oracle. That is a different breed. Shout out to Oracle. I miss Oracle. That's how I made my first money. Once again, just kind of looking through there. Okay, we still rolling. So once again, that's my job background. My day-to-day things I did, in the last 3 or 4 years, 3 different jobs. I do internal and external assessments, mainly focusing on, once again, NIST 800-53. I do security architecture for internal teams and vendors. So when vendors try to do business for us, either at DoD, the state, or small companies, we got to review their security architecture to make sure they're doing correct things. I've led many of incident response exercises. One of the big things now is procurement. When you buy anything or think about anything, we're going to send you security questions. And once again, from the third-party assessments, we're going to make sure those third parties are doing the correct thing. So we won't be like Casillas or Snowflake getting us hacked, right? We want to make sure we're doing the right things. So let's jump into this at a high level. It's deploying a technology and policy neutral security control catalog, and it has the following benefits. The key part about it is that it's technology neutral and policy neutral. So what does that mean? Whatever technology stack, my favorite is Oracle, Java, everybody's in the cloud, Azure, AWS, Google, they have a technology stack and policies you can create for those technologies, right? And now most people are hybrid. They got some in the cloud and some on-prem. So once again, it's technology and policy neutral. And this encourages organization to analyze each security control for the ability for specific technologies, environments of operation, and a variety of businesses. So once again, I worked in a ton of different government agencies, and we're going to get in those agencies. Those agencies use NIST 800-53 as the base technology. My personal favorite one is the IRS, HUD, CGIS, which is FBI. We're going to touch on each one of those different. So a lot of those government agencies use NIST. Then once again, they tailor them for their specific agency and how they do business. This encourages organization to specify security policies as part of tailoring and process for security controls that have variable parameters. So what's some of those variable parameters? Session, timeouts, type of COOP plans, disaster recovery plans. So those are some of the variability. Once again, you're going to tailor the NIST. Once again, we're going to look at all the policies and procedures and talk about tailoring it. But that's one of the benefits of NIST and why federal government agencies use it a lot. And two is me and the doctor, we're going to you fine. Me and the doctor going to get together, working on my class to get into the Cybersecurity Academy. Of course, PBR always streaming and struggling with his class. So we're going to get that together at the end of the month, and we're going to hopefully introduce that in there out into the Cybersecurity Academy. So once again, different layout, but we're going to get through it. Let's keep rolling. Once again, let's see if you have any questions. Would you consider NIST 800-53 as a cybersecurity framework? I saw it as a post saying it's not a cybersecurity framework. I believe it's a cybersecurity framework. I think a lot of people don't think it's a cybersecurity framework because it's so broad. And I think a lot of people think of cybersecurity as more of a narrow feature. We can get in there, Corey. I'm going to touch on some of the policies and procedure, but that's an excellent question. Let's see if there's anything else. So, yeah, I think, once again, people have a different view, but that's me. Can't wait for I appreciate that. So let's keep rolling. We'll try to get this in an hour. A lot of people know me. PBO can talk all day. Let's keep going. So one thing is NIST is an ecosystem done by the federal government. So they have SP as special publication. They have a lot of different special publications that can help you with your security program, right? A lot of people think security is a checklist, so they're thinking about it, right? Security is really talking about risk, controls, rolling up to your C-suite so they can make decisions on what risk to accept, what to buy, what not to do, maybe what things to wait on, right? So a lot of people think of security as this is hardening or this is not. When you talk about this 800-53, you're talking about a security program, talking about risk, and we know Gerald's the CISO, so we give those risks to him, and he has to make business decisions. He has to have a budget, right? So I think NIST 800-53, with all the publications, once again, is a security program. So let's hit a couple of the special publications. SP 830 provides guidance on the risk assessment process. 839 provides guidance on risk and management process and strategies. 837 provides comprehensive risk management process. 53, my specialty, we're going to talk about selecting security and privacy controls. 53A, I highlighted that. Shout out to Mr. Whitlock. He said this is his favorite. Provides guidance on assessing effective security controls, right? Once again, assessing controls, right? So in NIST 800-53 moderate, you might have 3,000 controls, right, on your program, right? We're talking about management controls, policies, procedures, COOP, incident response, right? There's 20 security families. We're going to dig in. Then the technology, your technology stack. Once again, you got Oracle, Stigs, and Schisms. Once again, hardening controls. We're in the cloud, AFDS, Active Directory, whatever your stack programming, ASP, .NET, Java. So each one of those are going to have specific hardening controls that's going to roll up to our risk register, right? So, and once again, 800-53B provides guidance for tailoring security and privacy for your organization. Once again, 800-53, I call it the big boss, right? We the biggest, we have the most controls, and maybe I say the most secure, but that's a debate, right? I lean more to 53, and once again, it's a big beast, but I think you need more controls to be more secure, but we can have that debate. Shout out to Steve Michaels. He did an excellent on NIST CSF. I enjoy those security families too. Let's see what my man Jabrin said. Isn't that what NIST CSF is for? And you use for help controls the cheat? No, that's not. You could use either one of them to do a full assessment, or you could do 53 to do the control assessment. But you are right. A lot of people are using those together. I actually see more people using CSF and even ISO with 53 to kind of harmonize together. A lot of times 53 is just so much to handle, Jabrin. It's enough just to do that by itself. But no, I think that's an excellent statement. How can you effectively learn all the procedures besides taking my class? No, that's a joke. Besides taking my class, I guess I should start highlighting those. I appreciate that. To actually go through them, we're going to hit them at a high level. The thing that people hate to do is actually read the documentation. I think the documentation is good. It's just a heavy lift. But just work on them. Once again, Dr. Auger's kind of helped me to put this class together, and that's kind of what we're going to do in our course. Hopefully, I'm going to get that out at the end of the month, and we're going to continually add on to it to make it better. I did a long time ago, killing lessons. They are now. Listen, okay. Let's see. Not by 5350, little brother 53. Yep. See. Okay. Let's keep rolling. Once again, keep the questions going. I probably should just finish my my slideshow, but I can't help myself. Once again, 53 talks about communication. I think we lose sight of that. Once again, as a technologist, I'm usually in tier 3. I never really looked above me or at the top. So at the organization, you want to be traceability, transparency of risk decisions, organizational-wide risk awareness. And once again, going up from the bottom, inter and intra communication and feedback. So a lot of times when you hardening your Oracle and your Tomcat and your Apache web servers, you don't understand those risks and what you cannot do rolls up to your supervisor. Your supervisor takes that. That could be the CISO, getting those risks, what we can't do. Gerald's favorite one, if we can't do MFA, we would be negligent and could get sued. That will roll up to the C-suite. Now it's actually rolling up to the board of governors are looking at those because people are becoming a litigious society and companies are getting sued, right, if they're getting breached. So you want to make sure you're not negligent in the things you do. So you as a technician, what you can do flows up to the top of your organization. And a lot of times I've been meeting with presidents, they want to know what the risk is of certain business functions, certain technologies, certain things to move into the cloud. So you as a practitioner, you got to let the upper echelon know so they can make those decisions towards. And that's one thing this is excellent. I think it does as a compliance and as a security framework. And the big thing right here is the risk management life cycle. The first thing is when you come in, you're going to categorize your system. So what does that mean? You see at the right, your organizational inputs. Are you doing IRS work? Are you doing CGIS and FBI work? Are you doing HIPAA and high trust for NIST 800-66? So what type of data you getting and what type of business you're doing is going to help you categorize your system. And you see in there, we bring up these controls, this FIPS 199 and SP 860. So those are actually, once again, in this special public documentation that feeds into the categorization of systems. So we talk about that in there. Then the next part is once you categorize your system, most people know I've been doing IRS work for the last 10 plus years. So that's kind of my specialty. So what controls would go for that oversight agency? What controls are you feeding into your NIST? So what controls are you selecting? Some of those controls are going to be business controls. Some of those controls are going to be technical controls, like what OS are you using? What technology are you using? what cloud are you using? All right. So what controls are going into your categorization of systems? Then step 3 is how are you implementing those controls? How are you putting those controls on? How are you putting MFA on? How are you using AFDS? How are you managing your policies? What policies are you using? Are you using CIS policies that could be used for NIST? Are you using straight NIST 800-53 and mail them to your business? And once again, how are you assessing those controls once you implement them? Once you put on that MFA, how are you making sure it's done correctly? Can you go around MFA once again? So how do you assess those controls to make sure they put on properly? Then a lot of times when you do government work, you get authorized. When I do IRS work, Booz Allen used to come on site and do an authorization of our systems to make sure we were assessing them properly, making sure we were doing implementation of those controls properly, making sure we were selecting the correct controls. Then once again, the authorized, which is an ATO, an authority to operate your system. A lot of times government agency comes in and they approve what you've done to make sure you did it properly. And the second thing is monitoring. Make sure it stays on. Make sure no wild developer like me takes off for control and forgot to put it back. Then once again, each year, usually annually, you would do it over again. Sometimes your system change. Sometimes you upgrade change. Sometimes you add a new functionality to your systems. So you want to make sure you stay on top of those. OIJ, you're gonna see it coming out. Me and Dr. Auger. I'm late. The good doctor's been pushing me, but old PBO trying to make it right. Once again, shout out to Chris. Go check out my channel. I actually have a compliance playlist with about 60 hours. Mostly of that is NIST and compliance. So definitely go check that out so you can get some stuff for free before you come over and join my class. Chris was gracious enough to put my channel in there. I have over 800 videos. So let's keep rolling. We're definitely going to save some time for some questions at the end. We're going to get those in there. So let's keep rolling. So here's the 20 family. So that's why I always say NIST got something for you. It doesn't matter if you're a nuclear power plant or a accounting firm working for a government agency. I do a lot of work for state agencies and making sure the company I work with works with state agencies. So my job is the state agency reports to the federal agency. So us as a private company's got to make sure we have our NIST processes in check and our procedures in check, because they're going to do a third-party assessment on the third-party companies that do work for them. So we're just going to fly through these 20 security families. Once again, that's why I like NIST 800. It has 20 families. And if you do a full or moderate checks, this comes out to about 1,000 checks. So once again, access control, awareness training, audit and accountability, assessment and authorization, configuration management, contingency planning, identification and authorization, incident response, maintenance, media protection, physical environment and protection. I think a lot of times we forget about the physical now. Webcams going into a data center, locks, cages, right? So I think a lot of people forget about the physical. I worked in a lot of DOD. They had armed guards, but let's keep rolling. Planning, project management, personnel security. The big one, I think, last couple of years is PII, processing and transparency. Risk assessment is big because a lot of people be getting hacked through third party. A lot of people are doing a proper risk. System and service acquisition. That's a big one because people are acquiring cloud services, new technology, and they're not reviewing them. System communication and protection, system and information integrity, supply chain and risk management. That's a big one that got, once again, for third parties, Kaseya's, Log4j, a lot of those supply chains are getting people hacked and they're getting big lawsuits. So I think a lot of people are actually pushing up on those. Let's see, I'm just going through and peeking at a little bit. I appreciate that. So I appreciate Let's see. That's a lot of videos. Yep, 800. I've been in the game for about 4 years, so I've been out there trying to put some videos up. So once again, go check me out out there in my channel. But once again, those are the 20 security families of NIST. That's why I like them. Once again, you got to overlay them and customize them for your business. But usually they got something in there if you're trying to do anything, once again, from a cybersecurity program, right? We're going to try to move beyond checklists. We're going to move beyond the general stuff. We're going to talk about risk from an organization, us understanding risk, us moving as an organization to believe if we do have something that's a finding, meaning it's something open, we understand the risks, we got mitigating controls, and we understand it from a total company and organizational complexity, right? And I think that's one of the benefits of understanding NIST, NIST CF, definitely getting Dr. Auger's academy is understanding GRC compliance. People don't realize, for me, I've been in the game since 1990. GRC is really a new kind of foundation. We were doing it, it was embedded in IT, but we wasn't doing it well. And now with the federal government compliance with HIPAA, high trust, once again, IRS, CJIS, and most state general attorneys now, they're putting security risk compliance at the state level. So if you get California hacked and you got over 1,000 records, you got to go tell them what happened and they could sue you. So once again, you want to have a strong security program and understand what that entails from a state, city, and even federal level. I hate vertical P-dubs, but we shout out to P-dubs. We're going to keep working. I'm old curmudgeon, P-dub, and vertical's different. Shout out to NIST 800 is a control catalog framework. Yep, I can see that. I appreciate that. So we're going to keep rolling. People only got one screen today. He's struggling. So once again, when you delve into 53, that was kind of high level. Then if you go down to each family, they break it out into subfamilies. So we're looking at auditing. So always AU1 is policies and procedure. Then we have event logging. AU3 is contents of record. Then you see 3.1 is the enhancements of control, additional auditing. AU4, audit log storage and capacity. AU5, response to audit logging process failures. And I6. So when you go to one of those 10, each one of those 10 probably have another 20 subfamilies underneath. So that's why a lot of times when you do NIST 800-53, you probably come out with over 1,000 controls. So once again, we're going to peek at it again. Contents of auditing, additional auditing of information. The part of that is AU3-3, limit personal identifiable information. In your logs, you don't want to be showing people social security numbers. If you got a health plan, your health diagnosis, you want to log enough to trace if you get hacked, but you don't want to log too much where once again you have PII information. And then that's one thing, reason I like this is they help you, right? Okay, I need to log, I need to have additional logging, but I need to do limiting, right? And if you look on the panel, it's under the privacy control baseline. So it's part of privacy. And two, you got low, medium, high. So if you have a low security program, moderate, or high, it tells you what subfamilies you need to put in there to make sure you're secure, right? And that's one thing we're going to work on the class. And once again, I'm struggling getting the class done. And two is we're going to go, we're going to do it in pieces. We're going to do the first one like this. This is going to be the low, NIST 800-53. Then 3 months later, we're going to get it to moderate. Then by the end of the year, we're going to have high. We're going to have all the controls in there, but we're going to build up into it. This 800-53 is so big, people are going to have to ease on into it. So we're going to get there, though. We're going to get there. So once again, let's keep going. Then when you drill down each subfamily, I love reading the discussions of the subfamily because it really gets in there. So we talked about the audit storage. Then we talked about the check marks, not put PI. Then when you go to the actual control, identify and finding with the base controls, the discussion says organization should consider the type of auditing to be performed and audit the process and requirements. When allocating auditing storage capacity, allocating sufficient auditing storage capacity reduces the likelihood of such capacities being exceeded and resulting in potential loss of reduction of auditing. So basically, what did that say? You need to make sure you have enough disk space or enough in your, if you send it to Splunk or AWS or some cold storage, you just need to make sure you have a sufficient amount of space. And one of the checks you see related code control families in there. A lot of times we use Windows, and it tells us once it's 80% full, we send out ourselves an email so we don't let it get full, right? So that's some of the checks we're going to be looking for, and that's part of making sure your out of storage capacity is at a certain level, right? And you see that the second one, the control enhancement, they want you to offload it so the bad guys can't get it. Offloading that a lot of times, the big guys use Splunk, Elk Cache, Azure has their version of that. I think AWS use their version of Elk Cache. So whatever offloading you should use for audit files. Once again, you just want to make sure you have enough storage to actually make that happen. Once again, that's why like this, they're going to actually get down to the level of checks you need to do as a smaller organization and even as a larger organization. One reason, once again, I like NIST is, especially when you get down to the security checks, it tells you exactly what to do. You don't have to guess. If we're running this OS, you need this check on this Active Directory. You're in Oracle, you need to be running SQLnet encrypted. You need to cut this button on, right? So a lot of times we get down to the Stigs and schisms and CIs checks that flows back up to NIST and those security policies. They actually specifically tell you what to do in that flavor. So let's keep rolling. Then one part of that as we looked, right, it says organizationally defined. If we go back here, you see in brackets, it said assign organizationally defined audit record retention. If you go down to the controller enhancements, it says organizationally defined. A lot of those times from a federal lens, that organization is a federal organization. And one of my favorite, most people know, once again, I've been doing IRS work for 10 plus years. So we were looking at AU4 and when you look at AU11, the organizationally defined, you see right there in bold, retain audit records for 7 years to provide support for after the fact investigation of incidents to meet regulatory and organizational information retention requirements. Audit 4, AU4, audit storage capacity. Allocate audit log storage capacity to accommodate the retention of audit records for a retention period. If we look to the right, table 9, this came out of IRS Pub 1075. Once again, NIST is the base publication. IRS is the organizationally defined, where it said organizationally defined. So if you look to the right, you as a GRC professional, these are the requirements you give to your organization. So formal agreements from a NIST standpoint, contracts, you would tell your legal team retention schedule that is for 5 years. Logs of FTI for bulk logging is 5 years. Converted media. The other part, a lot of times you get state auditors when you're working for a state or a federal thing. Those are 5 years. So most of those are 5 years, but those are the kind of quantitative numbers you have to give to different levels of your organization. So you can tell them what you need to do, become NIST 800-53 compliant, or once again, IRS publication 1075. Once again, IRS is the organizationally defined organization. Then to the bottom left, those are actually state requirements. So if once you're working in an org, if you're working for a state agency or a company doing work in certain states, you got to get federal requirements and state requirements. So that's taken like the state of Indiana. So if you look, item 1, estimated tax return, you have to keep those for 6 years. Fiduciary statements for Indiana adjusted gross income, you will have to keep those 6 years. So once again, if you look in this, it tells you to keep the appropriate documents for federal level. Then you as a GRC professional sometimes has to talk about state and federal level. So you can get those requirements to give those to your organization. And that's one of the things we're going to talk about. We're trying to get some labs together to walk through that to help you build up a portfolio so you can have that. So once again, you have NIST, policies and procedures. You have plans for incident response, plans for DR. And sometimes, once again, you have retention plans, how long you should keep stuff. But once again, that's the totality of the security program. So let's keep going. Okay, we rolling this 1:30, so we're not doing too bad. I didn't want to go over. Me and Chris was talking about it. So let's hit a couple more slides. I cut a few out. So my favorite is Stigs. Stigs are actually hardening requirements for systems that are NIST 800-53 compliant. We're just going to look at some. So we just talked about hardening. So at the top, you see that Windows 2022 server. It's a Stig benchmark. It just tells you on a Windows 2022, users with administrative privilege must have a separate account for administrative duties. It tells you what to check. It tells you how to fix it. Ensure each user has administrative privileges, has separate account for user duties, and one for privilege duties once you have a regular account. And if you look at the bottom, it tells you what security controls that applies for. If you see NIST 800-53 at the bottom, CM-6B and CM.61, right? Those are actually for revision 4. We're on revision 5. So a lot of times when you're doing hardening stuff on systems, those systems actually roll up to those security policies and procedures we were looking at. So we're going to look at one more. Let's see. Manually manage application account password. Must be 15 characters in length. We know that's common. Establish a policy that requires application service account passwords that are managed to be at least 15. Ensure the policy is in effect. That's AI-5 and AI-5-1. So once again, those were some things I just want to hit on. So let's look at the 20 security families real quick. So those are the families. Those are kind of the foundations for me from 800-53. Once again, like the guy said in there, those are the security controls. We're going to put those in effect. And the part about that too is a lot of times is you're not a security cop, you're a security facilitators. I'm not going to put the 15 password policy in Active Directory, right? That's going to be the cloud engineer or the system admin. So your job is to give them the requirements. Their job is to apply them. Then your job is to come back and assess them, right? So from a GRC perspective, what does that look like in real life, and how do you go about this, and how do you make that happen? So those are kind of some of the stuff we want to go through in the GRC class, and I'm struggling to finish. But once again, we're going to make that happen. So once again, if there's any questions, I just wanted to cut it off and give room for questions. I don't see if Dr. Auger want to add anything. We're doing vertical. I think he was in transit, which is all good. PBO's old. Nothing phases PBO. So throw a couple questions in the box. We'll get them. Anyway, we can span the screen. Missy, that's up to Dr. O. I think we were having some problems. Yep. We went vertical. I appreciate the new subscribers. It's good to know. I thought it might be on my end. No. We did a little different. It's all good. I'm Mr. 19 G's. I'm amazing graduating when you were. But now I'm almost 60, man. That's one reason I'm struggling. Buin Hacks, PBO is kind of old. He been running out of energy. But shout out to B-Dub. She just tell me it's a number. So B-Dubs keep me pushing. Chris Whitelock. Shout out to the Study GRC families. They helping me. They've been testing me. So we making it happen. And that's the good thing and bad thing about cybersecurity is it's continuous learning. You catch the wave. You can live good, but we got to remember, I started off doing COBOL programming, right? Now we're in the cloud. Now we're doing AI and AGI, generative. So just to see the growth of cybersecurity, but constantly learning, constantly keeping up on your skills, and constantly staying up on your game, though. And like I said, I've just been blessed. I've been doing it. Once again, I've been I2. I actually do security work for a living. I'm a security analyst and a security architect. So I actually do this in real life. So and so that's why I'm in there helping people in Discords. I'm usually in Simply Cyber's Discord. I'm usually in Study GRCs. I'm usually in Space Tacos. I'm usually about 4 or 5 Discords. So usually if you add me, you can definitely see me. Chris Whistlock helps me out. For some reason, I'll be struggling in Discord, but we're going to make that happen. We're going to make that happen. I appreciate that. Let's see. I can't highlight them, but that's cool. Let's keep going. I'm working on establishing a good broad understanding of 853. I really want to grasp the difference between PT and PI. Like PI could just be a subcategory of PT. It's weird. I've seen them argued both ways, to be honest. And two is, the reason I laugh is PI, depending on who you talk to, you need to make sure in organizations, everybody has a understanding of what that is. Sometimes it's just personal information. I worked in companies where they say personal documentation is created by you and owned by the company or PI. So that's kind of why I go back and forth on that. I give it. So I think for me, you need to make sure you and your organization sets the baseline for what that is. Now, I can actually look up what NIST and PT says, but I've been in an organization where everybody has it a little different. Type in, hello, welcome to the party. How do you document adherence to NIST controls, and how often are they updated? If you look at Brianna Gang, most of the times, if you look at anything NIST, most of it's annual. I think they just switched privilege accounts review to 6 months. But usually I'm going to do everything annual for the documentation. Even if there's no changes, Dr. Auger would be the CIO. I will make him look out and sign off on it. If there's a major system change or organizational change, at that change, I would do the update of the documentation. You as a GRC people, we're looking at those top 20. Those would be the 20 policies. We would add AUP and a few more. Every year, I would send those out to the who's ever responsible for those particular organizations in our divisions. Make sure they read it and make sure they re-sign it. Usually what I do, and we're going to talk about that too in the course, is we're going to set up a Teams channel. We're going to actually record it. We're going to actually go through it with the CIO, like Dr. Auger. He's going to go through of it. We're going to record it. He's going to sign over it. So I would send it. He would look over it. Then we would get on Teams. And that way, if we ever got audited, we got him personally sign it, probably using Adobe, and we can do it electronically. Then have him sign it, have him read it, understand it. Then we'll actually bookmark it. So that's how we force him to do it every year. Let me know if that answers your question. Almost 60. Facts. Marcus, almost 60. I'll be 58 to be exact. PBO ain't scared. He went for a walk and he's tired already. Let's keep going. Is NIST or HIPAA more strict when it comes to protecting personal info? Remember, NIST is I call it a base control. If you consider NIST with IRS, I think the IRS is more restrictive. NIST with the Stig checks on it, I think is more restrictive. NIST with the CIS big marks, I think HIPAA is more restrictive. So I think it depends on NIST and what federal agency. Of course, HIPAA is going to go with HSS, health and hospitals. So I think it depends on the federal agency. When we looked at NIST, those specifically agency-defined controls are going to tell you how strict you're going to need to be. Once again, shout out to DOD with the Stigs. I think they're the strictest and the hardest. There's a bunch of ways. Yep, Fox to Josh SOC 2. I'm not a big Josh E. I'm not a big SOC 2 fan, but I agree with you on that. Over evidence. The reason I'm not a big SOC 2 fan, that's an agreement between you and an accounting firm. I'll see a lot of errors on those SOC 2s, Josh. I see a lot of errors on those. PBOs, the ex-DOD, trust but verify. I'm not a big SOC 2, but we can have a discussion on that, Josh. I mean, more practically, are you keeping them in Excel? Oh, no. No. Usually, if we're not using some GRC program, most people have Office 365. I would actually keep them in Teams in the work area. I can check them in and version them. So that's where I keep them at. I actually take them out and make a policy. We're going to actually do that in the course. So let me know. I have a couple of templates. If you go to CIS, they have a bunch of templates that you could cross over to NIST. SANS has a bunch of templates that are covered in this, and NIST has a bunch of templates that are crossed over to NIST. So now we're gonna actually keep those. Those are actually 2-page policies. Brianna, I appreciate you. I was letting people answer the question, Brianna. Game, I'm sure it depends. Oh, facts. Chimes in, bro. I'm not the end all be it all. I'm a SME, but I'm still learning, man. This is so big, and a lot of times too. People have different ways to do them, and PBO is not the most organized person in the world, so PBO needs more help with organization. So I take everybody's input. Oh, once a quarter and evidence said in the Stig doc. Facts. I love them Stig docs. Man. A lot of people push back on Stigs because it's a heavy list. Let's see. I ain't touching that one, Marcus. I don't know. I'm starting to crack, man. I'm feeling old, but I appreciate you, Marcus. Lucky while working, appreciate you, David Craig. I can't wait to replay. Check it out. Risk assessment. Oh, facts. You got any questions, or is that a statement? I love risk assessment. I do those on third parties, especially now. I do a lot of risk assessment in AWS. AWS is kind of my specialty of cloud, even though I think Azure is going to pass them. But yeah, I love third-party assessments. Get you with that risk. And if you go to Indeed and through third-party assessments, there's quite a lot of jobs out there. So we're definitely going to hit that in the course. That won't make it into the version 1 that's going to enter this month. That's going to be on version 2, where we're going to hit the third-party risk assessment, definitely detailing on the NIST 800-53. Sir, PBO, could you share what common pitfalls GRC practitioners keep getting into when using NIST? I think the pitfalls with 800-53 a lot of times is your organization is not mature enough to do it, right? So when you're talking about 20 policies, probably 20 procedures, 5 big plans, if your organization is not mature, because you're going to really need to push down from the management down. What does that mean? If PBO goes to a developer and asks for certain checks, if you tell PBO to pound sand, right? Because as a GRC, sometimes management has to empower us to do our job, right? So a lot of times I come into an organization because they have a finding from a federal agency, but they don't empower me to do anything. So now I'm in discussions with CTOs and leaders that don't really believe in the federal compliance. So I think that's what it is. And the other pitfall is it's a big elephant. So you need to understand how to cut it in parts so you can eat that elephant. Start off with policies and procedures. We looked at low, medium, high. Start off with the lows. That's only going to be like 400 checks, right? So then you can just kind of build up into it. I think a lot of people try to eat that elephant, start off too fast, and they don't have management buy-in or management approval. Okay, delay mate. Wait, as you was going to pass them, I should stop. No, I'm not saying you should stop learning them. The reason I said that is Microsoft's good because everybody was using Microsoft on-prem. Everybody was using AFDS. Everybody was using Outlook. So Office 365, Word, Teams, moving that to the cloud, most companies are going to shift that first, right? Especially if you're late to the game. Now, if you was first, you probably was AWS. People forgot AWS had a 11-year head start. But Azure for that, and AWS does a lot of stuff to piss people off, like Netflix, I think, spends $30 million a month. AWS made Prime to compete against Netflix. So if I'm Netflix, I'm not gonna pay you money to compete against me. And they do that a lot. Delays made. So that's kind of my issue. Once again, PBO could be wrong, but I just think if you look over the last 4 or 5 years, you see them creeping closer and closer together. So that. But once again, the Active Directory in the cloud is an easy move. Off Outlook to Office 365 and Active Directory in the cloud. That's an easy lift and shift, and I think a lot of people are doing that. So that's one reason I think they're going to pass them. I've been organization doing the same with SOC 2. They go into it. Well, yeah, facts. See, my only issue a lot of times when I do SOC 2, people have them. Then when I look in there, the database is not in there. I think a lot of times accounting firms get paid for companies, and I think they kind of leave stuff out or they don't assess it at the level I needed to assess, right? So I'm like, are you storing your stuff in the database? Well, your database is not listed. They said it's out of scope. I'm like, well, how if it's out of scope if you got federal data in it? They just start stuttering. So I just like, don't worry about it. I just need the documentation of your database with your security and how you harden in your database. So once again, SOC 2 might be getting better. I've just seen that more often than not when I look at SOC 2. But shout out to my man. We be in study GRC. He does SOC 2 for a living, so he's trying to convince PBO. But two, I'm a back up on that. There's a lot of SOC 2 firms that are good. So I don't want to put them all in the same boat. I just seen a lot of SOC 2s I don't like, and I work with quite a few SOC 2 that I like, that I think did appropriate deep dive, and I seen probably 30 or even 35% I didn't think did a very good job at that security level. But somehow got a SOC 2 type 2. I think they paid for it, but once again, I got to give a shout out to Dr. These are the views of PBO and not of Simply Cyber. These are PBO's views, not Dr. O's views. Shout out to me. I want to take all the smoke. Let's keep going. Let's see. We rolling. We got 13 more minutes. Shout out to B-Dub. She said she liked the vertical. I don't know, but we going to make it work today. Let's keep rolling. I guess organization security maturity is helpful when, most definitely. Because if you ain't doing MFA, if you don't have any policies and procedures, and we trying to do that from scratch, that's going to be a heavy lift, GRC nerd. But once again, we can make that happen. I get paid to do the most, but it's going to make it harder, right? If you don't have any policies and procedures, you're not already reviewing them, you don't have basic plans, you don't talk about DR, you don't talk about incident response, you just going to do that now and jump in this 800-53, that's a heavy lift, GRC, but we can make it happen. Totally agree on the SOC 2 variability shouldn't be the be all end all. Nah, facts. Shout out to Josh. We talking about the same. Shout out to Dr. Finesse. Nice seeing my man. We seen him on LinkedIn. He can always ping me. I'll come check him out if you need anything from PBO. So let's keep rolling. We're going to kind of wind it down. But once again, Dr. Auger's been gracious. PBO's tired. He's trying to get done. But once again, we're gonna do this in a phase approach. We're talking about diving in. End of this month, we're gonna have a 3-meter board. We're gonna get you some policies and procedures. I'm doing a capstone. We're gonna give you about 2 policies and procedures. We're gonna get you ready, get you to understand, get you a plan, show you how to work it. You need to take Dr. Auger's part, and then when you get to my part, then when we get to June, we're going to give you all 20 policies and procedures. You're going to have a nice portfolio. You're going to have some plans in there. You're going to have templates in there. You're going to know how to do a kickoff meeting for a NIST or IRS or a NIST compliant organization. And we're going to show you how to kick off and do an assessment on a small organization and make that happen. So then 2 is what I talked to Dr. Auger, because my first one ain't going to be the full dive is. I'm going to go 1 week in the Discord, and we're going to work on some hands-on plans so you can keep growing on my course growing. Once again, I taught 10 years at a local community college, and we always had office hours. So I'm going to create my office hours in Discord so we can keep it moving and keep it growing as a organization and as simply a cyber academy. Let's see, Adrian Long, what do you think about CMC? How can I get into auditing? I have my Security Plus in 2 years. City. Oh, you killed the game. I like CMC. I think CMC is definitely coming. I think DOD is mandating it. I think the only problem with CMC is I think they're giving you 7 years to become compliant with that mandate. So I don't think that's forcing as many people to become as compliant. But double check me on that, Adrian. I think what is the CP and the CRA part of that? I think CMC is great. And if you look at CMC, actually is NIST 171, and I think 20 extra controls. So if you had 2 years at city government agency, you killing the game. If you work for a city government, I would try to move to your state government. Most state governments are NIST. And once again, we're going to talk about the IRS. We're going to talk about BMV. We're going to talk about Medicaid and Medicare. So there's about 4 NIST state agencies, once again, that DOR is Department of Revenue. All those are large state agencies. So from the city standpoint, I probably would pivot to the state, get your state auditing up. You should probably get a nice bump. Then go from the state to the feds, Adrian Long. Chime in on that if that makes sense. Let's see. I'm in studio since I appreciate that. Let's see. Let's keep going. But that was what I'd be doing, Adrian. So I would go from the city to the state. Once again, most states are NIST because the states are representing DOR and a couple of organizations. So that's the move I would make. Let's see if let me know. Oh, Dr. Auger's in here. Jump on in, Dr. Auger. I've been going.
I appreciate. I didn't want to, you were holding court here, so I love what you were doing, but I just wanted to hop in. I wanted to not derail anything, but no, you good. Shout out to PBO. I've been in the back this entire time. I apologize. It's at 720p, not 1080p. I apologize for the vertical format, although I feel like it's very Gen Z of us, PBO, to like be flexing like Gen Z.
B-Dubs really like it. I'm old. I don't think I like B-Dubs like it. So whatever she like, I like. No, it's okay. It's okay.
No, totally amazing information, wealth of information. Like, GRC, I love GRC, but like NIST has a special place in my heart. And, like anytime you see a control in like a news story and you're like MP4 or like AU3, it's like, oh yeah, like that's like
some best friends. Yep.
I love it. Oh, and my Hardy Har with the super chat won't be able to say, but thanks for teaching this useful information. Kudos. Yeah. And if you've been beta testing PBO's course, it's dope. I talked to Chris Whitlock. He said it's excellent. So very exciting for you to share all that information with the larger community and the public.
My apologies for being a little late. PBO, he's trying to get some energy to get to the finish line.
I love it. So, hey, I'm curious, PBO, have you ever been in an audit? This is one of the biggest like pieces of best practices or like lessons learned. I tell everybody, like, you ever been in an audit and had someone who didn't do any preparation, like ask you, hey, like, can you please, can you show me your executive order legislation? Like, like where they're basically reading the NIST control.
I love it. I love those. I love those.
Why?
That tells me you're a junior person, and I'm gonna say this as easy as I can. That means I'm gonna run over you because you don't know what you're doing. So now instead of you running the audit, I'm running the audit, right? So
yeah.
right. So now I love that because you telling me you didn't do your job and you really knew. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna roll over, then I'm gonna run over you, then I'm gonna be nice.
Okay.
Because I know some findings. If you junior, you're not gonna see. I'm gonna throw you a couple bones to help you.
Thunder punches.
Yeah, I say that and I tell people I thunder punch people. so yeah, but I mean, you've seen that, Dr. Auger, where some auditors can be ass and mean, or they trying to set tone, and so you got to set tone. So you got to read the room. But sometimes I'm old, I'm setting tone. But go ahead.
Yeah, no, 100%. And also, another like I guess pro tip or whatever. A lot of people think you're there to validate that they're doing their job, and they feel like it's like office space, and the Bob's asking you, what do you say you do around here? So people will clamp up, and they won't want to give you any more information than yes or no's. So you have to really set well, if you're good at your job, you have to set the tone that you're there just to get the reality of what's going on for the better of everybody, not because I'm going to write up that PBO isn't doing this job.
But I tell you what I usually do more now is people usually hire me internal. So I get us ready for the audit. So now it's me against the auditor now. So that's really what I do most of the time in my job. So I was working for the state of Indiana, their partner revenue. Then the IRS, Booz Allen, used to come in and try to intimidate us. Nah, I'm about this life, homie. So let's go. So I get people internally ready for big audits.
I can't wait to talk to you offline. So I know that the Charleston office, Booz Allen, where I worked, has a large IRS security audit capability. And all those guys have been on the same project for years and years and years. So I'm actually kind of curious if we have common people. That'd be such a wild, small world.
I don't think so, because I just met the couple guys that came to our office like every couple years. And it was then after a while, I trained our junior people up. So I wouldn't show up unless people asked me stuff, because I was trying to give them room to grow. Because once you do it for your third time, right, it's kind of a walk in the park, because our stuff been reviewed 3 or 4 times. So it's kind of I kind of let the junior guys do it like the last couple of years.
Yeah. So it's been a rough day here at the Simply Cyber Studios, and I'm going to go buy a sword and then fall on it.
No.
720p vertical format. I did make some small issues, and it definitely is. Carl! Okay, it's Carl, and it is what it is. I own it. Okay.
If this the worst thing happened to me today, I'm gonna have a great day. Awesome. I try not to sweat the small stuff. Like I said, I've been doing this forever. So vertical, we could have been in Switzerland. It don't make a difference to me. I could talk about NIST anytime, anywhere.
Heck yeah. And I actually was just having a conversation around NIST cybersecurity framework and how 2.0 actually, one of the big things that they did was introduce that governance ring that touches all the functions versus having it be its own independent function. And again, just GRC flexing, showing you how vital it is across every dimension of an information security program, not just, in the identify, protect, like left of boom side.
Well, I think all the fines and all the auditing and CASES with ticket masters, you see that more and more. So I think you need, if you're doing any big time government work or touching a lot of customers, if you don't have GRC, I think you're gonna be sued for negligence. Yeah, almost. Shout out to us. So I think that's what. Shout out to Space Tacos. PBO's on a diet, but go ahead.
I do appreciate you calling out MFA, and how that's a hill I'll die on. Like, yeah,
that's a good hill to die on. You're almost negligent if you don't have MFA now. I think you're getting close. You're getting close, and it's easy to do now. I mean, they make it so easy, so I don't see why you wouldn't be doing it.
This is great. I got to tell you, great turnout for PBO's Lunch and Learn series. About 100 people throughout the entire stream, just loving themselves some PBO. Shout
out to Study GRC. They always give me a shout out. They take care of the old guys, so shout out to them. They've been posting, making sure it's out there. I don't even think I shared it on my channel all the time. I'm late.
Oh, that's so funny. Yeah, B-Dub shots fired. The Study GRC is having some rabble rousing going on in chat.
So yeah, that's how I met Chris on Discord. Then he grew Study, so I kind of help him. Now, like we said, I'm stepping back. They running. I'm old. I'm taking naps now, so they running with it now.
Well, they're doing great work. I love that.
Great work.
Obviously, like I'm close with the Study GRC group, and
Shout out to Chris Wild. Like, I'm always studying in Discord. You pinging me, and Chris like, respond to Dr. Auger. I'm like, what did he send me? So shout out to Chris. I'll be struggling in Discord. So shout out to the young people.
I'm right there with you, man. It must be generational. I have to call Chris. Like, I can't even start events, like stage events. I have to like at somebody and like get an adult to help me.
Yeah, so I don't know if you're not at me or what, but I can. We're gonna release it, Adrian. I need to get with the actor and get it solidified. Once again, we're gonna do it in phases. We're gonna get the phase 1 out. That's gonna be the spring meter die board, and we're gonna keep adding on to it out the year. Then once again, I'm gonna be in Discord once a week, add to the course to make sure you get your money's worth. So, but go ahead, Doctor.
Heck yeah. And we'll be communicating that out, Adrian. That'll be on the Simply Cyber Academy.
Yep. Shout out to Stig. We're gonna make it good. Keep adding to it. Keep growing into it. Are you gonna do a CMMC class? I don't want to spoil it. I heard that was maybe in the works.
I mean, I'm working on it. I'm like halfway through the vulnerability management analyst masterclass right now, so that one's like wheels up, and I'm hoping to get that actually published and out by midsummer. But we'll see. And then just I guess like teasers for everybody. I'm going to be doing a 1-hour lunch and learn like this series in April, and it's going to be all around audit and doing audit correctly. And basically, because audit's like your entry-level role in GRC. So I want to do a whole workshop on how to do audit correctly and get your head around audit. And that'll be happening. So
the weird thing is I'm kind of self-trained as audit. I always do internal audits mostly, so they're not as strict, right? So I'm going through and make sure. And because we got the same background, I developed for 10 years. So I'm usually working with the development team, making sure we do the OWASP 10, top 10, making sure we walk it through there, making sure we're doing encryption in the database and the app server and the web server, which is mostly purple team. And a lot of people don't give that enough love. So.
No, 100%. And dude, I hope you can attend. I hope you're available when I do that workshop in April, because I'd love to get your perspective, given how long you've been doing audits and stuff, but from external versus internal versus what the focus is. But PBO, we're at 2:00. Any final thoughts for the chat that came out to lunch and learn with you?
No, I want to appreciate everybody. Just want to give you a shout out. Check out for the course and check us out at Simply Cyber Study GRC. Come check me out on my channel. Once again, I have 60 hours worth of NIST and other compliance. So check that out for free and come on in, and when you see the course, come on and jump in and we can grow together. Appreciate you, Doctor.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. And I'm actually going to drop Professor Blackop's YouTube channel, the one that he just mentioned with 60 plus hours of content. His tagline is cybersecurity for the people. So definitely, dude, I'll be the first one to tell you, do the free stuff first. Like we live in the golden age of cybersecurity education. Do the free stuff first. Find out where your passions lie and then dig into it. But go ahead.
Real quick, the reason I did the class and I've been talking about for 2 years, I like you out top for 2 years. So all my lives are like 2 hours of class. The kids don't like that. They like 10, 15. They don't like that. Go ahead. They don't like that.
I just taught at the Citadel in like 50-minute lectures, and they're just like, and today's lecture was on governance, and they're just like, oh my God. I was like, okay.
So I taught cybersecurity for 3-hour course at night, but I did it for an hour and a half. Then we did labs for an hour. So I'm used to that. The kids don't like it. So they told me to do a course to break it up. But I struggle because I'm so used to talking that long and that straight. So, but that's it. I appreciate everybody. Go ahead.
People enjoyed 1 hour of PBO today. So clearly there's an appetite for it. I love it. All right, PBO, I want to say thank you very much for the lunch and learn chat. Thank you so very much. You guys were wonderful, super supportive, giving PBO the love, and being cool and granting me grace for a 720p vertical format. Mixing it up is what we're doing here. But stay tuned. There'll be notifications coming out for the April Lunch and Learn series. It is a monthly series. This will be available on replay if you want. Go check out PBO's YouTube channel and join the Discord, Study GRC, Simply Cyber, for more of this. And then at Professor Blackops on Discord if you want to tag him and get going. All right. I want to say thank you very much. And until next time, y'all, stay secure.